All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to Vassals of Kingsgrave for another HBO Night of the Seven Kingdoms review podcast, the fourth episode of the season called Seven, which was an excellent episode, I think. My name is Adam, also known as drownedsnow online, and I am joined by Bing,
Hello, this is Bing. Once upon a time a shoeshiner.
Stephanie,
Hello, Stephanie, known as gsdg on the forum.
Jock,
Jock, always been Jock.
Michael,
Khal Wadege on Discord.
and Michal, not Michael.
Hi, inkasrain.
Hannah,
It's wingedshadow on the Discord.
and the late Lord Baron Zander.
Zander, the Lord Baron.
All right, so that's the crew. In just a second here, we're going to do our lemon cakes, but real quick, I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the episode, just kind of get it all out there before we start, and then we'll go from there. All right? Okay, so the episode 7 starts with Dunk locked up after the end of episode 3 with him nearly getting curb stomped. Egg comes in, extremely distraught, trying to apologize, which I thought was an excellent scene. They picked a great child actor for this one. Then we get Baylor and Dunk. Dunk almost seems to have immediately forgiven Egg in this scene after being really harsh in the last scene, because he speaks up for him, says that he's a good kid. I think he kind of sympathizes for him being like the youngest son, maybe. I don't know. And of course, Baylor mentions that one doesn't have to do harm, doesn't have to intend harm in order to do harm. So he makes a case asking how good of a knight Dunk thinks he is. And Dunk makes his case saying that, he just was trying to keep his oath. So then they transition to Arian, who flat out refuses trial by combat. It does not want to face Dunk, but also very quickly pulls this trial of 7 out of his ass. So I don't know, maybe he had that in mind all along. Which I also loved here that Makar's like, what the fuck is that? And when Baylor says like, oh, it's something the Andals brought over, and Makar's like, oh, well, if the Andals brought it, I guess it's fine, which was kind of fun. He also dresses Arian down a little bit here, so hopefully that's going to build for, later on what happens at the finale. And then Dunk just kind of sadly walks around in the rain. I guess he has to get his people ready for the morning, which is not a lot of time and not a lot of ability to sleep for his trial. And somehow Raymond Fossaway is just skulking, I guess, looking after his horses, sort of, or just waiting for him. It's not really unclear. Then his cousin Stefan is like super eager to help, and he's going to bring men to fight in this trial because Dunk has nobody. Maybe a little too eager, but the actor, I don't know, maybe sold this really well because actually he came off as kind of genuine to me, I feel like. And then Darren shows up bringing Egg and like sort of apologizes. They offer help and tells him about his dreams. We get a little more context about, what was going on at that inn. And then, of course, we have a great scene with Steely Pate, who has his shield ready and his armor. They don't really mention the armor, but obviously he has all that ready for him. It's sort of already prearranged. I thought the shield looked beautiful, and I loved that, I don't know, I thought all the lines were delivered very well. Like, Dunk obviously is like, well, you upgraded my shield. What's it going to cost me? And he says, for you, a copper, which was beautiful. And then morning seems to come pretty quickly, and Dunk's men are getting ready. You got the Laughing Storm. You got Sir Robin with his one eye. And then you have 2 Humphreys, which I don't think either of them are mentioned in this, but Humphrey Harding was the one who broke his leg, had his horse fucked up by Arian. And then his brother-in-law, I think, is Humphrey Beesbury. Shout out to the Beesburys. And then Stefan shows up to make 6, but actually, no, he's a piece of shit. He's fighting for the other side. So then we have to deal with that. We have to knight Raymond, which Dunk hesitates, and Lionel ends up doing it. Then Dunk gets his speech, which is rudely interrupted by a fart, which is apparently... someone in the crowd shouts, "It's the brood of Bracken!" So That that person has a name. And then Baylor Breakspear arrives like a fucking G, ready to take Dunk's side, and everything's all even. And we get the first use of the Game of Thrones theme that plays this out in a very appropriate way. So, all right. Let's just go. We're gonna go down the line the same way that we started, and we'll do our lemon cakes. Yeah, let's go to Bing.
Lou, so I won't be here for too long, so I'll just give my ratings. I thought it's really good, and I think I'd say 4.5, sure. I think most people expected this episode to be great, as long as they adapt things correctly, adapt the materials well. This was always going to be the crescendo of this entire book. I mean, of this entire season. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, okay, the bodily joke, the function jokes, they I don't know why that's what they settled with to add levity. I think they should stop doing that, but that's what they chose to continue to do, I guess. But otherwise, everything else is really good.
Yeah, I agree. Stephanie?
I'd say a 4.75 lemon cakes. I agree. I'm not against fart jokes in other settings, but I think it took the wind out of
Took the wind out of
you know.
something.
Touche. Anyway, I thought it was yeah, and in the book it's like the Bracken yelling something, right? But or at least someone else yelling something, but yeah, it just felt like it killed the momentum for me. But otherwise, wonderful episode, and can't wait for the actual trial by 7 next week.
All right, Jock, what do you think?
I'd say I'd also probably give a 5 out of 5. Like, I feel like the part and sort of fit with like the idea of like the just general disregarding of like any of the virtues they're supposed to have by the nobility. And I feel like it added to like the Baylor big deal reveal.
Yeah. All right, Michael?
Yeah, I give it, I don't know, 4.9 out of 5. I just thought it was firing on all cylinders. You could see really great performances by the two leads, and each scene was handled well and what it should be as an adaptation. I have to deduct a small point. You could say I have the nicest lemon cake in the world, but someone farted on it just before I was about to eat it. So, yeah.
Okay, Michal?
Yeah, I will actually rate this one. I'd probably give it a 4.5. All the Darren content was a 5 out of 5. I was actually shocked because going into the show, I was like, well, there's no way I'm not going to like this show, but it is possible that I won't like what they do with Darren because he's such a small, subtle character and really easy to mess up. And they did him perfectly, and as well documented, I have many other issues with the show. But yeah, no, the title card hit, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what I thought I was coming in to watch, like, this whole time. Hated the fart joke. Partly, maybe it's just like a compounded issue, like I don't ever want to be the person who's like, oh, fart jokes are bad, whatever. But I don't know, man, it's such an epic moment, and it's just like they have to remind you that, like, oh, don't worry, it's not quite Game of Thrones, but overall, a very powerful adaptation of a very, very excellent stretch of narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a bad choice there, just to be honest, but one they made. Zander, what did you think?
Honestly, I'd have to give this one a 7 out of 7. Like, this is really what I'm here for. This is one of my favorite works of his in this universe. And like everybody's already been saying, like the two lead actors are amazing. I absolutely love what they did with Darren. And even just getting that almost complete knighting scene, that was just 7 out of 7 for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree there. 7 out of 7. It's not perfect, but like this is exactly what I wanted. This is what I was looking for. We're gonna get into it more, but if they could have fucked this up, and it like kind of would have ruined the whole season, right? Um, yeah. Hannah, what do you got for us?
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. And the reason is it's punitive against showrunners that want to continue to play to the lowest fucking common denominator. I'm sick of it. Don't make the show if you can't trust your audience to be smart enough to stay with you. I'm upset about that fart joke, not because it was a fart joke, but because what the fuck was the point of it if Baylor comes riding through the door 2 seconds later? It means nothing, and I'm just so tired of it. Like either you're too stupid to make television, or you're assuming we're too stupid to watch it. Stop it. Grow up and just do what's written in the book. Do your source material. If you're not clever enough to write your own original show, follow the source material, and that's it. I'm just so done with all that. But other than that, I did love it. And I agree wholeheartedly with everything that everyone else said. Um, so I'm sure you guys have not heard, or maybe some of you have, but um, the woman who was like my mom away from mom passed away on the 27th of January, and she was a longtime VOK listener and huge Song of Ice and Fire fan. And she passed away and was really sick just before before this came out, and she never got to see it, but she was always there with me. We would watch all the GOTs together and all the Fire and Bloods together, um, and she loved listening to Vok and all you guys. So I just wanted to dedicate this episode to her memory.
Yeah, and what was her name?
Yeah, Sue is her name. She didn't have a clever nickname.
No, it's all
Just
right.
Sue.
I mean, we will we'll pour out some ale for Sue. So,
Thank you.
all right. How do we want to do this moving forward? You guys just want to jump into it scene by scene, or you have anything particular you really want to talk about? I will say one note that I just looked this up. I looked at who the two casting directors were, and they don't have a ton of experience, but because they did such a good job, and I'm looking at some of the other things that they've cast for that were, like the live action How to Train Your Dragon movie, Masters of the Air, Haunting in Venice, the Barbie movie. So a couple movies that had also had excellent casting. So these I thought, I wasn't sure if these are the same people that worked on Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or anything like that, but apparently not.
Barbie movie was banger.
Yeah, well, I mean the casting was really good, right? Like, and several of these other movies, like I said, that the casting was pretty good. So they've worked on. There's two of them. They've worked on a lot of these together. So they seem like a pretty decent team. They got a good eye. So what did you guys think about the opening with Dunk in prison? I know after the episode they talked about how they shot it several ways with Egg, like having him be more distraught, more angry, like trying to figure out what worked. I think what they chose and the performance that we got really worked, because like I bought that he was just this really sad kid that like just like he was getting dressed down and he didn't mean any harm and he just thought he was having fun. And I mean, he knew better, which obviously Dunk said, but um, I mean, I don't know. They even through that anger, you could tell that like the two of them were still really bonded, still really connected.
I enjoyed that Dunk went really hard, harder than what we see in the books, because we've had 3 full episodes of their relationship being established. So it feels like an inspired change that accompanies the extra screen time that we've had for these two characters. It was genuine hurt.
We shared a sandwich together, man.
They invented breakfast sandwiches. But he doesn't
No,
let him off the hook. Like, he really lays into him, but also you can tell the bond because in the next scene immediately he defends him to his uncle.
Yep.
So I thought that was great.
I feel like we're gonna have sort of a reflection of that with Sir Arlen in the next episode, is my guess. Is I think they laid it on pretty thick in the next up, that there'll be a lot of flashbacks to King's Landing and stuff in the next one. And I think we'll probably eventually see that he had a similar dynamic with Sir Arlen. My guess is that's where they're going with, like, Sir Arlen's such a good guy. Oh no, he's not. Like, all that stuff.
I hope
Yeah,
you're
we're
right, Hannah. I really
we're gonna
hope
get
you're
to
right.
that. But they've been really working one angle with the flashbacks, haven't they?
I felt like the scene with Egg, honestly, like I really liked it, partly because I was like, yeah, actually this was really shitty of Egg. Like when Dunk is really like, you're using my life to have a party, that was, not that I hadn't like thought about it that way, but having him state it so like fully was really powerful. And I think it's a very strong motivator for Egg that, like, after this conversation and the conversation with Baylor, he is definitely like he's Team Dunk all the way. Like, if they tried to keep him away from squiring for Duncan, he would, like, he would find a way.
Yeah, and he's such an adorable little squire. I mean, like, I'll get your swords to Dunk. Like, yeah. But I mean,
Well,
I do like that they let the anger and like the hurt kind of breathe. Like, oh, you would have squired for anybody, Yeah.
Also, did you guys notice the opening shot where it makes you think you're looking at the stars, and then it turns out it's just the wet ceiling?
Yeah, I was going to say about that.
I
That
love
shot
that.
was really, really good.
That was great.
I watched it twice and I missed that. So
I do like how the kid has tears in his eyes, but he's not fully crying. I think that's such a great acting choice and character choice where, we all know this world is rough. So, like, you've been yelled at before. So I think it speaks more to just the hurt of the blossoming bond being broken rather than actually getting dressed down.
well, because he doesn't come off as a kid that's crying and upset because he got caught or because he's being punished.
Mhm.
He's upset because Dunk is upset with him because someone that he
Exactly.
admires is disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's huge.
I love the way they played that. Yeah.
And if you think about it, like, how many people has Egg even been in a position to disappoint? Like, he is such a nothing in the family. Like, obviously he's close to Eamon, and it looks like he has a connection with Darren, but I don't think either of those relationships are ones that, like, have particularly high stakes. And this is, I feel like, the first time that,
Right.
Yeah, he's like earned someone's affection and respect, and now he has lost it.
Because it was
it's
someone
more
who
like the
didn't,
other
who
way
didn't know
around.
him for who he was, who
Yeah.
thought he was just like a little shit street urchin, basically.
Yeah. Mostly he's probably had it the other way around where they've disappointed him, his dad and stuff.
Yeah.
His brother.
Yeah, and where people are like basically forced to show you respect because you're the rich kid, you're the royal kid.
Right.
So like nothing's been earned for him. This is like maybe his first earned friendship.
Mhm.
I think an interesting interpretation of Dunk's anger is partly projection, where he has the line, "You knew it was wrong because you were lying," and we all suspect something about the knighting scene, and perhaps Duncan is quite angry at himself in this scenario that he's now let himself hear, at least partly.
Right,
yeah.
and that's one of the big lines from the book, which is, in Dunk's inner monologue, where he says something like, like, I know what it's like to want something so bad, like where it shows like internally he has sympathy for the kid, and that's kind of one of the things that alludes to like, oh well, maybe Sir Arlen never did knight him, which is what most of us think. Do you want to move on to Baelor? Because it kind of like follows the same line. Kind of follows him along, and then immediately is sort of put in his place by his uncle, made to like serve and get him pour the wine, basically, right?
Lots of lines taken directly from the source material, which I approve of. That's all I have to say in this scene.
Bertie Carvel is so good. Like, you really get that balance between like his inherent like kindness and goodness and Baelorness, but also like he's not insensible to like the threats to Targaryen like honor at this point, right? Like he
Right.
is not going to change the rules. He's not going to be like, no, this is ridiculous. He's like, you attacked a Prince of the Blood. You're a hedge knight. You shouldn't have done that. Like, it doesn't matter. And I also like that. I mean, it is obviously right from the text, but like, I always read the text. Like, I think when I return to the story, I find Baelor like almost too good to live, So it was nice to have like a little bit more of shading. And
George
like,
couldn't let us keep this.
yeah. I mean, like to hear his voice, and like actively and see his face as he's saying, like, you have to do this fight. You did the wrong thing, even if you did the right thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think that because his angle is like, hey, how good of a knight are you? Like, you have a way out, But I think that, as we keep saying, like, so much of this is pulled directly from the story. Like a lot of the dialogue, the scenes, like they've been fairly faithful, even though they've added things or whatever. So like that just sort of amplifies, I think, the importance of the casting. Like if they had gotten like a lot of these roles wrong, like it just wouldn't work. Like the
Yeah.
actors really are really making this work. So good job.
Honestly, I like for the first couple episodes, I was kind of like, do I like with Duncan Egg? Like just like a little skeptical, But the second that actor came out being as Baelor and Arion, both, I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's them coming to life from the books, from the minute he opened his mouth. And
And we
this
can't
scene
forget Steely Pay,
especially,
okay?
yeah, well, that too. This scene especially though was
Most
like
important casting.
just a huge reminder of like Baylor's one of my favorite characters in the entire canon of all of the universe. And this was a great reminder of like why, and kudos to the casting of the show all around, but
Yeah.
especially with him, I think.
Because Baelor's a good Targaryen in a time of decline, and then it leads to Egg, and everything that happens with him is like we almost avoid everything in Game of Thrones. Almost.
This isn't about the show at all, but I do get the impression that if Baelor Breakspear had lived, the rest of the Blackfire rebellions would not have eventuated. Like, it's such a formative moment for
Absolutely.
what's going to happen for the next 100 years. It's, yeah, for want of a nail.
Yep,
Yeah.
the Black Prince.
I mean, if you think about it, like, not to be this person, but like on this viewing of the story, like I've really felt like the hand of the gods in the story, because it's just like, oh, Dunk just like Sir Arlen just happens to die, and Dunk just happens to go to this inn where this kid is. And like, obviously we know the arc of this is so that Rhaegar can live, so that Rhaegar can sire Jon Snow, so that and it's like, if you look at the broad arc of the story, it's like kind of such a cool little like microcosm of fate, but also people reacting completely honestly within that. So I've been enjoying that.
Yeah, and this great tragedy comes from one of the most honorable, characters we have in the whole world in Dunk, right? So
Yeah.
it's like it's a bittersweet because then it's like, oh well, does it kind of help fulfill the prophecy? Yada yada.
The dragon
Well,
was dead, but you were alive.
yeah. Huge dragon, huge wings, the biggest dragon. Yeah. So then we move on to them actually confronting each other, Arian and Dunk, and the whole trial of the seven gets brought up, and everyone's very confused, except for Baelor and Arion, who apparently reads books or somehow knows about this.
Well, that's specifically Magor. Okay, we know he has a special interest in Magor.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because he likes Magor, so he's definitely read about that before.
Yeah, but it came from the Andals, you know. Hey, if the Andals do it, it must be all right. It's like watching an infomercial at 2 a.m. where they're like, hey, it's German, it must be okay. I was like, oh, Makar, come on. Oh.
The actor that played Magar is doing a great job. He's sort of
Right?
caught as a tired dad. I really sympathize with that with him on that, like having to herd these little shits of sons. It's really good.
Well, yeah, I like that they've laid enough groundwork for him. Like, he fights on his son's side, and his son is in the wrong. Like, Dunk's also in the wrong in a different way, but they lay enough groundwork that he's a good guy, you know, to make the decision he makes later to let Egg go with Dunk and, you know, kind of travel and not be a part of the whole system. Makes sense when that'll come up. So, do you think this was just entirely because he thinks Egg, like that Dunk would stomp his ass like Arian?
Yes.
Or does he just think there's no way Dunk will find people to stand for him at all? Like he thinks he'll
Both.
never have to fight. Yeah.
It's both. And also just so then also just by the assumption that, you know, like the Kingsguard would fight on his side and then
Right,
his
and he'll have the
father as well.
prince. And I think
And that no one's going to risk offending him or offending the royal house by taking up Dunk's defense, right?
But it's interesting because he recognizes that this is something that hasn't been done in a while. It's like this historic thing. And I think he underestimates that, like, yeah, there's probably going to be some people that'll stand up for that. I mean, it's an 11th hour thing that Dunk's able to complete his 7, but several people were down. I mean, like Sir Stefan seems like really eager, like right away, you know, because the Targaryens are incestuous aliens after all.
Well, we know that Stefan has a ulterior motive.
We do, and I assume in that moment he was just playing both sides there against the middle sort of thing. But like I said when I was reading that recap, it's like the actor really sold it as like he was just down, and like knowing that knowing like what he's gonna do, I was like I kind of bought it for a minute there.
Yeah, the unexpectedly
read it
good dude
as-
like hops around different characters on this episode.
Yeah,
You could read it as genuine in the moment, and then maybe throughout the night he realizes, and after like consulting with people, he's like, you know what? Maybe if I do this, it would be ultimately better for me.
it could have been because he's not in line to inherit, is he? I'm trying to remember like the Fossa
he gets a
way.
lordship out of it, so I'm assuming not.
Yeah, I mean, so at some point he's either thinking of this himself through the night or he talks to somebody, you know, something leads him to go talk to the Targaryens. I don't know if he, you know, necessarily does that right away. It doesn't really matter, but he clearly never goes to Lionel or anybody else. So
my interpretation was that like he went, like one of the people he was trying to recruit was either like, you dumbass, like come talk to the Targs, or the Targ person was already there, and that was kind of how that happened.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I don't think he's smart enough to lie in the moment and be like, you know, I'm gonna do this deception. Like I feel like he was probably like, okay, sure, this is my chance for glory. Oh wait, bigger chance, you know.
Oh wait, it's still glory, but on the winning side of the king. But I do think it's interesting because they set up the Fossaways as sort of like the hillbillies of Westeros that are like, well, we've been around a lot longer than them Targaryens. They incestuous aliens. So it seems like I was like, oh yeah, like I think maybe for the unsullied viewer, I think they probably sold that pretty well. Like I'm curious how that reveal played for people that didn't know the story, but
You describing them that way just made me laugh so hard because now I'm imagining instead of cider, they're making shine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like they're all about Apple. Like, oh yeah, we make our own shit, and they're just like, yeah, we're just ancient,
Actually,
I
it's not a
don't know.
contradiction for them to be making cider and to be hillbillies, because Johnny Appleseed spread all those apples so people could make cider.
Actually, that's a fair point. And we
It
love Johnny
was,
Appleseed around these parts.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, so like back in the day, apple cider was like a 6-pack.
Has
Yeah,
anybody
I mean, they
seen
used to
Hundreds of
eat
Beavers?
what?
There's a movie called Hundreds of Beavers that is insane.
It
Kind of
sounds
recommend
insane.
it, but maybe with some accompaniment. But there's a lot of puppets in it. It's whatever. But it starts with the guy being like an apple farmer. Look it up. It's a lot.
I'm sorry, I'm just eternally 12 years old, so just giggling.
Is it a? Oh,
But I
good
think you'd
Lord,
really like
Steph.
it.
Okay.
Is it a Is it a horror movie?
No, it's a. It has no genre. It is partly animated. Lots of people in beaver costumes. Impossible
It's
to
from
describe, honestly.
2022. It's relatively recent. Interesting.
Yeah.
The first Google result is a Reddit post that says hundreds of beavers. What am I missing here? So,
Is it a
audience,
furry thing?
there's something to look into. I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Is there a house that has a beaver mascot
I was
in
just
West
gonna
Coast?
ask
Isn't
that.
there? I could have sworn we've made this joke before, but
I mean, the Riverlands are huge. There's got to be, right?
House Dam,
Vassal
DAMM.
beaver dam.
Yeah, and they have words about how the beaver is nature's engineer.
Or something corny like "We stopped the flow."
oh, good Lord. Nope, not gonna make that joke either. Okay, let's move on. Anything
Okay,
else you guys want to
one.
say about the setting up of the Trial of Seven?
Yes, I was a little confused about the timing because Dunk leaves and it's nighttime, and suddenly they're like, "Today we're doing the tournament. Today," and like it's probably just like this in the books, and the lack of visual cues like didn't confuse me, but I was just
Well-
like, "When did we decide this exactly?" Like, "Oh, it's happening right now." Oh, okay. Like,
I'm
It
assuming
seems
'cause
like they
said
called
it
him in at
started
midnight and we're
dawn.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, like it's midnight and oh yeah, hey, you got to get 7 men by the morning. Like you're not gonna be able to sleep or be ready for battle, or like I thought maybe it'd be like okay tomorrow at noon or something,
yeah.
But like it must
Because
happen at dawn. Like okay,
because the Fossway says something about like the waking them up in the middle of the night, then they'll fight like angry badgers, and I think that's even from the book. So I always read it as it was like 1 a.m.
yeah, and I mean they managed to get the whole camp and everyone at the tournament up in time to like be excited and dressed and ready to watch this, right? So I
There
don't
is
know.
a
You think
beaver.
you wanted to build because it's like so epic.
I looked it up. It's House Brault. They're sworn to the Starks. 3 golden beavers on a green field above a wooden fort on a blue hill, and their house words are woods and wealth.
House what?
Brault, it's Braults or E, but the Braults are sworn to House Stark. They were
Oh
wiped
yeah,
out
look
by
at that.
Carlin Stark during a rebellion, after which their lands were granted to him, leading to the foundation of House Karstark.
Oh, Karstark slayed beavers. Oh, there's the joke about wood and beavers and golden beavers and
There you go.
yeah. What was the house from the Game of Thrones like the Telltale game? It was like was it Ironwood or something or I don't remember now. They had wood stuff going on too. Anyway, wood and wealth. So you got wood and beaver in one sigil. You can you know, what do you think George was going for with that? All right. Okay, so yeah, that's fun. Let's see. Yeah, so what did you guys think? We talked about it a little bit, but what did you think about um like like Raymond just like hiding by Dunk's horses? Like was he like trying to take care of the horses, or do you think he was waiting there hoping Dunk would come out?
Oh, I thought he was taking care of them.
Yeah, isn't that in the book? Like he's guarding them so nobody steals them.
Well, that's like kind of what Dunk says, but then like he's like, "Oh, you were watching my horses," and he's like, "Come on, we gotta go." Like, he sort of was like, "Oh, I don't know." It was like very, very quick. It was almost like, "Oh yeah, there are horses here too." But you're here. Follow me. Like it was just kind of weird, but
In the book,
he's
he
a good bro.
finds his horses tied to the Fossaway tent, so I guess this just is more connective tissue to get the Fossaways back into the scene, I suppose.
Yeah, and we wanted to have Rainy Dunk getting all wet and sad.
Horse talk.
Welcome to Horsecast. Do you know the number of horses in this show? Like in this like season? I don't know. It might be more horses than we saw in like the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones. Like horses were not in the budget back then, right? It's interesting. Um, let's see. We talked a little bit about Darren.
We could talk more about Darren.
Yeah, I mean, like the actor is
Agreed.
great, and I think, I mean, obviously you need this little bit, because then Egg comes and just kind of rouses the camp. But like they get in a lot of shit if they were caught at this moment, right?
Oh,
Out without any
absolutely.
sort of protection yet again.
Yeah, I guess, or unless they're just kind of like, all right, we figured out what's going on, and like the danger has passed. We just now need to punish this man for having perceivedly been dangerous.
This scene of mentioning a prophecy, I'm so glad that Daron's actor just nailed this out of the park because there's a couple of ways that this might not have landed well. And clearly that didn't, it was great. It was just such a tortured, the way they spritzed him up with like gloss so that he's either going through alcohol withdrawal symptoms or he's just a nervous wreck all the time. It was just really good.
It also
Honestly.
really sets him up as a villain, right? Like they go right in and they're like, Darren has made this accusation, and like we just don't know who Darren is, and then to have him come in and just be like so chill and so sad, and like also another edit, they actually seem to have like removed his proclivity. I mean, he's definitely drowning his insanity, sorrow, whatever, in wine, but he does not seem to be so into the ladies, because every other like line in the book he's like, I need a woman or a drink or blah blah blah. So I thought that was an interesting shift.
No, I agree with that because I like that taking that aspect out kind of makes him even more of a tragic character because then every man in Western boozes and wenches, but like they really are focusing on his like dragon dreams or whatever. But I will say too, like both the writing and how the actor played Darren, he went from a nothing sandwich of a character to probably one of my favorite Targaryens now.
Yeah, I think that they were in such a short time. They did a really good job. It was very effective having him come out, and at that point, all we know is that he's told the lie. He is not a good knight. He doesn't want to. He's kind of like a layabout Targaryen, maybe, right? Like he's just not into doing his duty or whatever. And then over the course of like a 2-3 minute conversation with Dunk, we sort of get that like, well, actually, like, hey, my dreams aren't like yours. Like my dreams come true, and it's kind of a shit life. and like he really conveyed the burden of that very quickly, and really like flipped his character on its head.
Yeah,
and when
that.
you no, go ahead, Stephanie.
Oh yeah, no, it just did a much better job than I think in say House of the Dragon of like portraying that like this is something that you cannot turn off and it just will make you miserable. And
Yeah, and it's such a contrast also with him to like Aryan, and we're in an era of humbler Targaryens as a whole, but like, Aryan has no self-awareness at all, and Maekar kind of is like stuck in between self-awareness and like pride. So to have Darren come in and be like, "Oh yeah, all my dreams come true." It's an impressive talent for an unimpressive man. And just to be like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm terrible." Like it's very, refreshing. I'm standing. I love this guy so much, but he's so good.
Here, here.
and
Yeah, and
it's
we get
also
another shot at
nothing.
Arian. If he had been bored of Fossaway, he'd just think he was an apple.
Yes. Best line. Best line. They did unfortunately leave out the line that he's very good at lying and sensible in the mud. But maybe they'll put that later.
Also, his cloak with that high collar thing in the back, I like that.
Oh yeah. He does such a dramatic like unveiling.
Yeah, his outfit is sort of like he's like the rogue or the ranger, character from like a D&D game or something, Um, he doesn't come off very Targaryen.
I think from like his facial features and with like I guess like his hair is within the stereotypical range of a Targaryen, but the yeah, I guess with how like uh unseriously he carries himself. That's
I wonder if they were channeling a little bit of Bruno from Encanto, with the cloak and everything, and we don't talk about dare run.
Also, just the moment where like Egg confesses what Arian has done to him, and then he goes like, and he threw my cat in the well also, and Darren kind of like shushes him. It's like we've been through this. I know, Egg. It sucks.
Yeah, but he
we have
says
to
he
move
didn't.
on.
He says he didn't.
Yeah.
Like we already know he's a
Big Brother
monster. He
move.
just like threatened to geld you, nightly apparently. So, and then we get Fossaway snickering when he's like, "I'll make you a sister, and then I could marry you." It's like, "Oh, yeah, those Targaryens. See what I said?"
yeah.
I
His
appreciate he
little Clovis laugh
apologized.
over there. Let's see. Oh, before we get to the morning, we have Stilly Pate still at nighttime, and he
Ugh.
discovers that what's your name? Tenzel's left, and what is it? Stilly Pate says is like not out of sight, out of mind, but something like that. Like like if you're not around, it's easier to be forgotten. So she just headed back to Dorne. Yeah. But the shield, man, the shield looked almost exactly like I pictured it would look.
Perfect.
They did a great
Yes.
job. It still looks worn and old, but then it's upgraded, and the art is not like a funky, HBO
It's not
rendition
clip
of
art.
the sigil. It's like it looks like almost like the same as like the line art we've gotten, off the websites or off the books, right? Like, yeah, it's beautiful, and I do like that. Steely Pate kind of turns around to depress Dunk. That's like, this is all darkness and death, and he's like, man, that oak is vibrant and alive, man. He's like, that's green leaves. Like, this shield is life. Like, don't give up.
The
And then
way
we get
Dunk
the
is
shield back.
crying when he sees the shield.
It's the first thing he's had that is all his.
Yeah.
Someone has made this with care and love.
No, and I want to say too, Like this is probably my favorite scene in the episode because especially when, Steely Pate, after Dunk asks him how much, um he's like, for you, just a shilling or whatever it was, or a copper or
A
whatever.
copper, which
Yeah.
is like their
But like,
lowest piece of money, right?
right. But like I loved it because he so easily could have just been like, oh, to kick Targaryen ass or blah blah blah, something to that effect. But I think the way both the actors played the scene and how it was written, to me it almost hits on one of the biggest themes Dunk, like next to being honorable, is his genuineness and his kindness inspires people with so little effort. And that's what I love, about this scene and just everything about it, man. It really got me.
And I think the real beauty of this scene is what is conveyed here. What is conveyed with basically a simple line of saying, like, I'm gonna give this to you. Like, I'm not giving it to you for free necessarily. Like, he could have said, man, you're a true knight, it's on me. Or he could have said something a little more heavy-handed, but it's like, there's a price, but it's like a token price. And it's not spoken out loud, but as the audience, you get the very clear message that, like, what you've done has been seen. I respect it, and like, I'm doing you a favor because of it, because like, I believe that honor should be rewarded, and none of that is said outright. So I think they just did an excellent job.
I mean, I continue to be like a little sad that they sort of leaned into like the body humor as a way to distinguish this show from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, because like to me, like this is what distinguishes the show, right? In Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, like obviously not that everything ends up perfect in this, but like good recognizes good and good enhances good, and that is much 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 more complicated. It can happen, like it happens with Arya and Syrio and whatever, maybe Sansa and the Hound, depending how you want to read it, but like it's much more complicated in those situations, and here it is just like a good man trying continually to do good, being put in bad situations and being helped by people who are good and can see that it is worth doing good because he is doing good. Not that we can't have jokes, but
Can I play devil's advocate for a second with the potty humor? Because the more what we've as the weeks have gone on, the more I've thought about this. And I could be wrong. This might be a little controversial, but I think that what we're getting is, because we've talked about, these guys are like the bros, they're the frat bros, whatever. So they're putting in the potty humor, and you're like, right? But also, they seem really dedicated to giving us what was on the page. They're being very faithful to the story. They've cast well. They've stayed true to most of the lines. They've made some changes, yes. But it seems like they want to keep this a core, simple story, a story about, a young man doing the right thing, standing up for the weak. They aren't like editorializing. They don't have some other agenda or trying to put in, like, I want my it's like, I think their version of like putting their spin on it is putting in the fucking fart jokes and stuff, which I is not great. But I would much rather have that than like wholesale changes to be like, well, we think this angle is better for the character, right? Which we have seen on other shows. So if this continues through the end of the season, I mean, I can just sort of ignore most of that. I don't love it, especially during Dunk's speech here. It's really fucking stupid. But it doesn't ruin my enjoyment in the same way that like an altered characterization gone bad might.
I I will say I still believe each episode it's going to be less and less. Like, really all we got was the one fart, and yeah, it kind of ruined the momentum of the speech. It still is fairly innocuous compared to, a 10-inch prosthetic cock. But kind of going back to what
Oh
McCall
man.
said, like I agree. What stands out from the other properties in this universe is just the earnest goodness of the characters in the story. And I think that's why these novellas are so popular in the first place, because compared to, House of the Dragon or Song of Ice and Fire proper, these books, while they do still have, his intrigues and complications, these books are just earnestly about good people doing good. And that is what is so appealing about it.
And that like doing the right thing is its own reward. And like sometimes that is rewarded and sometimes it's not rewarded in the way you think, but it's rewarded in other ways. Like in Game of
I
Thrones,
think
like a good man doesn't always get to be good. Like Ned loses his head, right? And this ended tragically eventually because it's Martin. But for now, we get a young man trying to do the right thing. Kind of in a very simplistic way, but yeah, I'm here for it.
I think the source material speaks for itself. Like when people review these, they all, just from reading the books, they say, wow, this has a different tone, this has a different feel to A Song of Ice and Fire. And my annoyance is the fact that they're putting in this potty humor shows the directors, well, either their insecurity or their inability to understand that this would speak for itself if you're just translating it to the screen. But anyway, I'm not going to complain any more than I have already.
I don't think they think putting this stuff in is like enhancing it, or like I don't think that this is meant as like editorialization. I think they just think it's funny. You know.
Worse.
I think they are desperate for brand differentiation. I think that is just this predominant thought in their mind. And I haven't actually watched the behind the scenes, which is very well, I've watched like a second, which is very insightful into their dude bro aesthetics and ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yep.
um, anyway, this is my interpretation, but it could be wrong.
No, I agree
But
with you,
I do
Michael.
think
And
you're right that this is just such a different show than Game of Thrones on its own. So I mean,
but again,
they've done enough to mostly leave it alone.
yeah, if they just stick to the source material, it's already different. It's got a hugely different tone. It's in a different time, like in a different season. It's spring, right? Like newly into spring, and it's peacetime. We never see that in either Fire and Blood or the main series. Never.
Do you think we'll
So,
get like a Martin cut like we did with like the Hobbit
um,
movies, where like someone edits the season and just cuts out like shitting under the tree and stuff?
I mean,
That works for me.
Like cut
if
it into
that
a movie?
if they did that to the main series too, it'd be great because then it would just stop at season 5, and much like in real life, you would
We'd
just
just
never
be
get the.
waiting. Dragon should have come from the moon in the show. They should have just gone like way out
No,
in left field.
he's 7 and 70 years old, which means he's in the prime of his health. And don't worry, he'll finish.
Oh boy. All right. Let's move on to it is now suddenly morning. There's no indication that Dunk got any sleep. Maybe he did. I don't know, because it's now time to go to battle and everyone is they're waiting, and we start meeting the knights, and they don't, like I said, they don't introduce everybody. But we know Lionel, we know the one-eyed dude. That's probably how people know him. They go, oh yeah, that's the guy whose horse got fucked up. Oh, his leg's broken. Like, they kind of just are like, you remember these people, sort of. And then there's like a random person that we don't know and is just not fucking mentioned. And then we get Stefan's betrayal and Raymond knighted.
It does annoy me that they didn't name drop Humphrey Beesbury, because There are people like me, if I hadn't read the books, that would be doing a count. It's like, okay, do they have 5? Do they have 6? How many do
Yeah,
they have? And they didn't make it clear. It reminds me of the Harry Potter movies where they never establish, okay, there's 7 Horcruxes, we know of this many, we don't know of this many. And all I could think of when I'm watching the movies is if you haven't read the books, you are confused as hell.
yeah, we need a score once in a while. Which eventually, like when Stefan's betrayal shows up, it's like, oh no, you actually only had 5. But I'm sure the average watcher was like, wait, I saw like 3 guys there. Like I had to rewind and watch it again to see Beesbury, and I was like, oh right, okay, there was someone else there. Um, and I guess they'll all be lined up next episode, but
With half-hour episodes, to me, it's like, okay, if they want to gloss over like some of the minor characters and minor houses, and like that's why we love the book, is that some of these minor houses like start to shine a little more in these 3 books. But if they want to gloss over that part, I don't indict them over. That's just always that's always going to be when you translate a book to film or television. That will always be there. That's okay. It's augmenting bullshit that I can't stand.
it's important that like Arion has 3 Kingsguard, okay, but Dunk has 2 Humphreys. That's like Humphrey squared, so that's got to count for something.
Well, I
It
mean,
doesn't.
one would think.
Spoiler. Have you
I
guys
mean,
seen
one
the
of them
theory?
can't get off of his horse, so like,
And it goes well for neither of them. Have you guys seen the theory that like Dunk's 7 kind of match up to the like the 7 gods?
no, but I mean, like, I'm not surprised someone would come up with that. What does that look like?
I don't know what other people's version of it is, but when I heard it, I was like instantly, okay, well, Dunk is the maiden, obviously. And I feel like Baelor is the mother. And then I kind of like went from there to be like, I guess Lionel would be the father, and then Raymond would be the smith because he like forges his own house. Obviously Robin is the warrior, and then the two Humphreys are like the crone and the stranger because they die. But
I kind of would think like Robin would be
Like
like
that?
the crone. He's like the old one, but
yeah, but he's
he is
like the
warrior.
embodiment of the warrior, right? So
He's like the badass. Yeah, I mean, he's the most martial, I guess, in this group at the moment.
But
Yeah, I
I
can
mean,
see
he
that.
also like he calls himself at least in the show, he calls himself the embodiment of the warrior.
And he even says like, "I'm loyal to the king," except when the king is on the wrong side of the gods.
I do want to point out too, when Dunk is talking to his or meeting his champions, another point to Egg just being an awesome kid. He's in the background swinging an axe around, having the time of his life, even though something pretty bad is about to happen.
He's like, we might not get enough champions, but like, I gotta prepare the squire. I mean, look, this is a beautiful sequence. The whole sequence from here through to the end when Baelor arrives. It's like morning and it's like misty, dingy kind of, but all the beats like hit really well except for the fart, obviously.
Do you feel
Hey,
like they did a good job representing like Raymond's knighting and like all that, what happens there?
I was just gonna
They
ask about this. Is this the most we've ever gotten of a knight's vows?
we only get 2 of the 7, right?
Right, but I mean, what we get maybe a throwaway line of one vow in the books, like the knighting ceremony. I mean,
Yeah,
Well,
I
because
mean, I
What's in
don't.
the books is what's in the show. In the name of the mother, in the name of the father, in the name of the warrior, and then none of the others.
okay, so it's all the same we've already had.
Yeah, titles.
but do you think
Regardless,
they
it
did a
was
good job
gorgeous.
representing like how Dunk's always like can't remember the words, and that's how the question is continued to be raised of like whether he's been lying or not about.
I mean, I think once people go and read an article online or something, they'll pick it up if they didn't. But it's a moment where it's hard to read. Like, is he just like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. I'm not a knight. It's kind of hard to tell there. It all happens so
Yeah.
quickly. But it's clear that he's apprehensive for whatever reason. In the book, he doesn't say anything about like, oh no, that's we can't put Sir Raymond, we can't put Raymond in danger like that. He just like is like
Yeah. And I'm not saying I
Well,
need it necessarily. Like, I don't need the show to raise all those questions. I think it's best to just leave the internal monologue stuff alone and direct people to go read the books. Actually, they're not that hard to read. Um, so I'm not saying I necessarily need it, but I was just wondering what you guys thought of that dynamic there, or if you
well,
feel like you.
I think they made it pretty clear. Like, obviously, he's clearly hesitating. Even the Laughing Storm is like, come on, just do it. Um, but I think just with that one flashback of Sir Arlen and dunks on his knees, and it looks like he kind of like shrugs, like I don't know. I thought that was
yeah. That part was definitely odd.
it was odd, but I think it was still clear to the audience.
I really read that as like shortly before, like the last time Dunk asked Arlen to knight him, and he
Right.
just
Yeah,
was
something like that.
struggles.
I don't know.
Uh,
I read that as not like a vision of the past. I read that as like Dunk's imagination, like
Same.
like
Well, even
recalling Sir Arlen, and then him
even
just being like he never gave it to him. So Sir Arlen, like the ghost of Sir Arlen, kind of in his mind is like, whatever, kid. You know,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
even if
it could
it's
be.
not a memory, it's still clearly
it's
gets
an
across
impression.
what Dunk is thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I read it like he's looking for help. He's looking for another knight to join him, and it's a vision of like him thinking about like he would always look to Sir Arlen for help and guidance, and Sir Arlen being like, "Can't do anything for you. I'm dead." Like it read very knight tale to me.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't think about that, but that could definitely be like he's desperate, thinking like, I need someone else, and Sir Arlen being like, I'm not around anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Arlen
huh.
is saying, "Dunk the lunk, thick as a castle wall. What have you got yourself into, you big idiot?"
Right. Right.
I did feel like the
Yeah,
way
huh.
that was kind of like transposed, like the voiceover of Lionel with Dunk kind of like riding, ahead. Like to me, that almost felt like his spiritual knighting. Like he was the one being knighted through this experience.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I mean, if anybody ever earned a knighthood, it's a moment like he's had in the last 24 hours, right? So I
Well,
thought, I mean, I had chills, when Sir Lionel brought out his sword, and I thought it was really well done. And I had really high hopes that the rest of the episode was going to keep that same tone, and
Yeah.
it delivered, man. It
We were so
delivered. Like
close.
the fart was stupid, but other than that, it delivered. So
And honestly, Michal, like I like your take on it. I kind of like all of the above on these takes, but I do think to your point, it's kind of like essentially he is the truest knight of all of them, no matter what, right? And isn't there's a part like either towards the end of Sworn Sword or the beginning of Mystery Night where he's almost about to like, I don't know. There's like a moment where somebody's picking up on the fact that there was nobody there to witness it and blah, blah, blah. But then they literally say to him, like, well, you are a true knight. And just like stops him from revealing it or saying anything that would lead to like questions about
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a moment later on
so
like
long.
that where
There's
you
one
know
like critical moment in there where, and I can't remember who it is, but somebody essentially is like, you are like a truer knight than any there was or whatever.
I think the assumption is that a lot of people have had is that at some point in this story, years down the line, like there's a time to knight Egg, and Egg wants Dunk to knight him, and that's when this secret comes out between the two of them. If there's any space for it, that's where I would expect this to come out in the story. If we ever get that far, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that conversation looks like Egg being like, "Well, you're an idiot. I could knight you right now if you really need it, but you don't." And like still wanting him to knight him. Um, you know.
Yeah, then also just like with the Kingsguard, that involves like a vow renewal, right? Because Jamie had to stand his vigil again at Harrenhal when he was appointed to the Kingsguard.
Right. And the visual and all that stuff is like all more kind of ceremonial. Because a lot of people, like, in a time of war, you make a lot more knights, right? So people are, proving themselves in the battlefield and all that. And then sometimes they're able to do the, being blessed by the septon and all that stuff, but not always. Um, but a lot of these houses, it's like their kids just kind of, it's like a foregone conclusion that they're going to be knighted. They earn it in kind of weird ways.
And I quickly just expand on Michal's idea because I now just thinking about it, I really love the idea of it being Dunk's like spiritual knighting because the next thing he does is the trial by seven, which would be his baptism by fire
It would
into
be
true
honoring the
knighthood.
gods, right? Yeah. Hmm.
Should we be showrunners for this stuff? Are we geniuses, actually?
I don't know about that. Hindsight's always great, right? I will say one thing. So we'll talk about the speech and all that here in a second. But in the after the episode thing, they discuss the moment that breaks the speech. And it seems like they're implying that they put that in because like Dunk is out there like being like, "Hey man, like, who's going to stand for me?" And after that moment is when he gets like really angry and gets like, it's like, "Are there no true knights among you?" And like we get that and they're like, "Yeah, that disrespect like is kind of what pushes him over the edge." They don't say it that way, but that's kind of, I think they said something like when you're at your lowest, like that's, when sometimes your true character is revealed or whatever. So I think they felt like that dude like clowning him was to like put him at his lowest moment where like he's about to, I mean, if he doesn't get enough people, then what happens? He loses a hand, he loses his head. Like what's the punishment? Um it's very serious either way, right? And it's just by default he doesn't even get a chance to defend himself. So I think is their logic. I don't really agree with it, but that seems to be what they were implying.
You know how you could also communicate that with nobody standing up
With
or giving a shit.
silence and
Yeah.
and just waiting, like, yeah, 20 seconds of nothing happening would do that.
Just
Um,
continue the scene as it
Or
was
you could have
going.
communicated it with somebody standing up, but not standing up for him, like walking to go, out of the stands. So there's that rise
right.
of hope and fall, but it doesn't have to be this
The
insult.
the false hope wasn't the worst part. It was just like the guy just like shat over everything. I'm like, that's how you went about that.
And they also
Yeah.
do it with the music,
Yeah.
they
They
play some
built it
really
up.
epic music. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I didn't like the way they did the music after the egg reveal. Like I think some of their score choices are certainly questionable. It's not the end of the world, but it's certainly not how I would do it. Do we think that Baylor was like getting ready this whole time, like going and getting his armor on, or at what point did he decide, well, fuck, I've got to stand up for this kid? What was it when
That's
Stefan
what I was
betrayed
gonna
him?
ask.
Was it like, because he shows up very last minute. Um, I don't think he was
I was
planning to do that all night.
Yeah, I was wondering
Maybe
if you
he's
guys
just
thought that
drama
he
queen.
genuinely thinks that Dunk is innocent and wants to make a point of that, or wants to, like, no matter what the outcome of the trial is, then Arion is just like integrity is in question and publicly.
He's adding legitimacy to Dunk regardless of what happens. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Michal said, like maybe he's a little bit of a diva secretly. Like a prince arrives when he means to.
I mean, he's the hammer of the anvil. Of course, he's dramatic.
You know, he needed his rest. If he's going to be an effective champion, he just needs a minimum of hours of sleep. Contrary
Yeah,
to
that works
what,
out really well for
Stefan
him.
says, right?
Okay. And he has
Um,
his armor, but the helmet was not right.
Yeah. No, but in
Mhm.
seriousness, I do feel like one of the things that, you know, is strong about this is that, like, when we do see people explicitly like having their moment of like recognition of Dunk, you know, as a good person and rising to meet that, I feel like Baelor had that moment on his own, and you know,
Yeah.
probably someone told him. I'm sure he was keeping, like, somebody was keeping tabs for him on who was lining up on what side. And when he heard like that Stefan Fossaway had switched sides, I feel like he must have been like, this,
Yeah.
you know, either I do
Right.
this, or, you know, wrong definitely wins. And
That's
yeah.
my head canon is either he saw what happened with Stefan there and went and like got his armor on, or he caught wind of it, you know, because obviously there was a deal with Arian. So or he like caught wind of it at some point, you know, shortly before the dawn, and decided that he had to do something. Because it takes a while
Yeah,
to
and
get
it
your
was
armor on, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
yeah,
I
and
think.
like
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, and you know, maybe he was hoping that, like, in order for, like, because it's also about like where Baelor's standpoint as like the crown prince here is that, like, he has an interest in making sure that everybody present feels like that justice is being done. So maybe it wasn't his first choice to be a champion, but as a last minute thing, he decides to, and then, you know, just like before then, he was just hoping that there would be enough, like, essentially peer pressure, and, you know, especially now that, like, uh like well-known knights like the Laughing Storm and the One-Eyed Guy and the Harding, that, like, someone, or that one person would come up to fill the ranks. But uh yeah, but I think my read of it was that he was always sympathetic to Dunk ever since, or like even from like the first time they spoke with or coming out of the jail cell at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, and I mean he references back to it when he says like I will stand for Ser Duncan's side or whatever he says. Um and when his brother is like questioning him, he references back to what Dunk said about, you know, a knight honoring his vows or whatever in their conversation. So, you know, I think, like I said, I think that they did a really good job with Baelor, and people are really gonna miss him. So, yeah. Um,
And once again, I'll be like, you guys shouldn't be surprised.
do you think that the old fisherman would let you have this? Well, actually, what had happened was I built a really good character, and I was like, shit, he needs to die. I will say this episode so far, looking at the YouTube, is 83% in the 5 lemon cakes. So we're, you know, looking really strong. This is definitely the highest rated episode so far, and last week's was as well. So it's just kind of only built. Last week's episode currently sitting at 69% 5 lemon cakes. Sorry, it's not 67, but you know, us old people have different numbers that make us laugh. So
Yeah, I think on IMDb also, this is the highest rated episode.
yeah, I think you're right. I was just looking at that. Um, let's see, because overall, let's see, it's 8.6 for the show. This is a 9.7 this episode so far on IMDb. So yeah, I think last week was 9.1. The others were like in the eights. So, and this also has more ratings than any other There's 24,000 ratings on IMDb at almost a 10, 9.7. So next week's episode will be called "In the Name of the Mother." I'm assuming next week is the battle, and then the finale episode is the aftermath. Does that make sense, or do you think it's going to go longer?
I think it's got to end with Baelor dying. I think that's
Or ends with
Agreed,
him
yeah.
taking his helmet off,
yeah.
and then cut to credits. Yeah, that would suck. They should just give us both episodes next week. Fuck.
This show would have been better as a binge, and I don't say that because I like binges. I don't. I love having week to week to discuss things, but like, it just feels like you should have the play next episode like right after.
Yeah, this is really a 2-part story, not a 6-part story. Let's be real.
Mm.
The reveal that his squire is actually a prince is a good like intermission, cliffhanger moment, and then you could go to the back half. But there's not enough like spots to stop along the way. Especially when the viewers of this sort of content are used to like hour-long episodes, and we're getting half an hour-long episodes. I know why they're doing it, but again, I think this will be very strong on the binge.
Yeah, I have an Unsullied colleague, and I explicitly advised them to just wait for this to play out in a binge.
Yeah, and not that it's bad, but especially even for someone who's unsullied, like it's a more cohesive story that way. Like I think you
Yeah.
stay more invested. It builds better that way.
Yeah.
And and what is that, like a 3 hours, right? It's like a long movie if you really wanted to do the whole season. So, and they'll watch 10 episodes of of some other show binge watching on a Saturday, right? A lot less time commitment for this. So
It also answers the question like, why am I watching this? I feel like in a binge, much more evidently.
Way quicker. Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, the HBO app is definitely designed to push you into the binge. Like a lot of them like hang around so you can see the next episode preview and all that, and this like immediately starts pushing you to the next suggested thing, which if there's another episode of this, it's another episode of this. If not, it pushes you off to something else. But
Yeah. Like my friend who I was talking about, like I posted on Instagram how much I liked Darren, and she was like, wait, should I keep watching this? Like, does it get better? And I'm like, actually, it kind of does. Like, episode 3 is better than the other episodes, and this episode is better than episode 3. So,
yeah. And I don't know, this may be the peak right here. We'll see next week, but
No, did they give up on after 2 episodes?
yeah.
that's a shame.
That is.
Yeah, but she didn't know who it was for. She didn't know why she was watching it, and like if you don't know anything about it, just coming in like totally blind with like not even a ton of background. I don't even think this particular friend has like watched all of Game of Thrones. So like from that point of view, I don't feel like it's very accessible unless you are like really into like just kind of like, okay, this is funny,
Yeah, and I've told several people like that have asked about the show, like work or other places, like, yeah, just wait until it's done, or wait until there's a few episodes. Like, you don't need to watch it right now, but it's very good. So I think that's kind of the general advice. But I don't know what the ratings are on this. If David were here, he'd probably know. But I do think the show has done well.
Be interested next episode how many flashbacks they put in, because presumably it's going to be 30 minutes. The shortest episode was episode 2, and filming combat, it's difficult, and filming lengthy combat scenes is expensive. And I know that their budget was all right, but it wasn't like huge or anything. So I'm interested from a creative development standpoint how they're stretching this battle into a full episode.
You're thinking they're gonna like pad it out with flashbacks throughout the trial?
Maybe he gets
Or
hit
they
in the head really hard, and then
Exactly.
it triggers the super flashback with that ring, and
I think
yeah.
so.
The super flashback where we actually hear Arlen speak finally.
Either that or they'll probably just start with that and then go back to where we left off.
Well, isn't that what happens in Sworn Sword? Like he has some like kind of dream-ish flashbacks when he gets knocked out during one of the fights.
Yes.
So I feel like they might be borrowing from that, but that's just my prediction.
Maybe it's a decision that they didn't want to deal with it next season in favor of other things, so they're kind of bringing it in now.
Or it's just a more appropriate creative choice than how they did Tyrion in season 1 or 2, where he just gets knocked out.
Like how many battles did we get in Game of Thrones where like we just don't see anything, like Whispering Wood and like Tyrion. I mean, we got a decent bit of Blackwater, but there's a lot of stuff where it's like the battle is starting and then they're like running into the hall cheering and celebrating and you're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah. Well, they can't all be Helm's Deep, you know what I'm saying?
I know, I mean it's it's expensive, I get it, so it's okay, but this I mean, like, this could go really quickly if they wanted to, but fights happen quicker than you think.
Yeah, if they wanted to just present it in a wide shot, like real time, what is it, like a 10-minute deal?
And then a couple slow-mos with a flashback here
Yeah.
and there, someone getting hit in the head awkwardly, we see Darren go down, like there could be like that slow-mo I am very curious how they're going to shoot this. I don't really know what their action style is because we haven't gotten anything, right?
I mean, I guess we
So
got a little bit of it during the tourney jousts, and those were cool. I also don't think they need to drag it out too much. I mean, we don't know many of these characters well enough to give too much of a damn. We want Dunk to win, but I mean, you don't need to drag out like Arian is some final boss with him either, necessarily to have it impactful.
I expect it to go very quickly to kind of like the spotlight on Dunk, and like we have to see what happens to Baylor, obviously, but I expect the first charge will be pretty big, and then a lot of that side stuff will either not get shown or like be shown like in the background very quickly, and then it's going to be Dunk, and there's going to be the Kingsguard, and all that. So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully
They
they don't try
deliberately
much.
established the misty atmosphere so that if they just want to focus in on like it's between two people, they're like, yeah, you can hear noise in the background. There's other people fighting. It's
a fog of war, right? Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if they show the blow to Baylor's head.
Yeah.
Or if you'll just see like the dented in helm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Dunk sees that, right? It's just like you get this moment of relief, like, oh, Baylor just got a knock on the head, but he's fine. It's all good. It's okay.
Yeah.
The Hardings are
because
dying.
He's talking
okay.
and everything's good, and then he's like, "Let me take my helm off for a minute." Oh no, I'm dead.
You know what I would really not like to see though? I would like to not see the fart joke that comes to lighten that moment up.
Oh, and as soon as he died, he defecated as one does. Like, no,
like,
let's not do that.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Oh
We'll
god.
see.
He takes his
We'll
helmet
see.
off and gray matter's spilling out, and then his squire who's holding his helmet like barfs into it. Ha ha ha. I hope to God not, really.
I do think it will be gross, but hopefully not played for laughs.
I would hope not.
In a horrific way.
Yeah. Gross in a like, oh god, the horrors of war, And I mean, again, both the Hardings die, so it like really, this is not a. And wait, doesn't one of the? Am I misremembering? Does one of the Kingsguard die also?
Yes.
One of them gets wounded greatly and has to be dragged off the field, but I don't know if they die, because I think whenever Dunk thinks about this retrospectively, he's like the 3 men that died so I could live, or, and again, that doesn't really relate to, but he never mentions a Kingsguard dying. Anyway,
I should
we'll
probably
see.
reread this before next week because I do not remember.
But
We
one of
just
them
got a
died
visitor.
eventually.
Well, we're all gonna die eventually.
I mean, like in the series, right? Or maybe I'm
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know
just gonna
because
look it up.
I'm pretty sure Baylor dies, and then the 2 Humphreys, because they're part of the No Humphreys Club. But
I'm pretty sure Baylor dies too.
I think so. I don't remember. I could be wrong on that one.
Let's see. Trial by 7. Ser Duncan the Tall.
spoilers.
Oh yeah, no, only the 3. At least according to a wiki of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, because most of the people involved are not out to kill necessarily, but I mean, even like Prince Makar, like Darren's not doing anything. Baylor doesn't want to go like kill the Kingsguard or his family, right? So, although Stefan could have gotten it, but we need him. We need him to keep the Fossaway rivalry going, right?
All right. Well,
Yeah. I think that's about it.
Someone just joined. Might want to have something to say.
Oh, we are wrapping up here, and before we say goodbye, Noah, do you wanna pop in with a little input? Give us your lemon cakes.
Way. Love that. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, absolutely love this. 7 out of 7 lemon cakes. My God, that was the best A Song of Ice and Fire related episode I think I've watched. Brilliant. I even loved Arlen 1 Kenobi popping up and giving his little nod. It was just fucking, the whole episode was spectacular.
So you're a proponent of the Arlen shrug?
I mean, it's fine. I there's a lot of like grumbling about his portrayal, and I totally get it. I really do. It is definitely different to what we see, but I mean, sorry, what we read, and I think a lot of that's because we get, it's Dunk's POV. We get a lot of internal monologue about mottos and sayings, and maybe lessons that he's instilled rather than him just saying, "Oh, he was a good dude. He was a good, he was a great guy," and all that stuff.
Yeah, I do think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, like, we can't ignore the things that Dunk has said about Arlen, and we can't ignore the things that Dunk is doing, the way he's acting, saying, like, this is how Arlen, raised me. Or else we're calling Dunk a liar.
He was just a dude at the end of the day, mortal, grey, like so many of George's characters. Didn't do any great deeds. Had a couple of, cool moments at tourneys and things, and
He seemed like the guy that like always showed up for work and was like, "Yeah, man, like other fuckers call out, but like I'm here getting work done," sort of thing. And there's like a quiet nobility to that, right?
yeah, I get it. Like maybe we wanted to see a little bit more. I mean, he gives some money to some poor people, and yes, they definitely could have done a bit more to show that side of him. I
I
totally
don't
agree.
think
But
he was doing that. I'm pretty sure he was paying the prostitute that he was
That's
sleeping
what I was about
with.
to say. I think money to poor people was just him paying for it. Although,
Which, good for him. Pay for your
but when you
services.
also
But
when
I'll
you
have to
have the
read
horse
that.
talk, do you have
That
to
went
pay
over my
for it?
head. That went over my head if that's the case, and I may have to retract that.
funny scene if Dunk thinks, "Oh, look, my master's giving money out for free," when it's like, "Nah, dummy."
He's going to hang out with that widow.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, Dunk. Watch after the horses. We're gonna be in here for a couple hours.
Maybe I'm thick as a castle wall too. Then
No, I've definitely heard more than one person say that for sure. But I'm just like, but that's no.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
It'll just be so funny if they really like nail the rest of this show, and I'm like permanently conflicted about the whole experience.
Like I said, like we have not heard Sir Arlen say a word. He hasn't talked to Dunk or anybody in any of these flashbacks. So
we heard the back of his
I
hand,
assume we're gonna get that.
and we heard his piss stream.
That's right.
Oh, I mean, I think we heard him say like, "Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back."
And we heard him sing about the Ashford maid, right?
Mm.
I just think, I mean, is this the main hang up for you, Michal?
I mean, it's indicative, but yes, it's kind of the avatar of everything that's wrong with the show for me. Because so one of the things I kept coming back to is sort of like a lot of those parts of the show and a lot of the lighter parts of the show where it's just sort of like, oh, I don't know what's going on, like blah blah blah, this is all just funny. Like it makes me feel like they don't care, and then I go, well, why should I care? You know, and I'm not saying that they don't care about the show that they're making, because they do, but that's just the feeling that I get. And like an episode like this, where everything is done with so much intention and, you know, gravitas and whatever, and is so earned, like that makes me feel like I should care, and I do care.
I think they just care more about dick jokes and fart jokes than a lot of people do. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
but like,
we
keep
should.
it out of my,
Storm be as
keep
much
it
of a
out of
bro
my head
otherwise?
tonight.
What?
Keep it out of my head tonight.
There was
Yeah,
another
I mean, I don't know.
joke that was cut where like they were all going to be shitting outside like a latrine, and they were holding onto a rope so that you could squat, and then the rope would break and someone would fall into the shit. This is what I saw in the behind the scenes. I was like, I don't want to watch any more of this.
No.
I mean, that would have been great payoff for the moment with the King's Guard. I would have loved to see him fall into shit. That would have been enjoyable.
Clearly, an adult showed up in the room and was like, yeah, we're not going to do that, guys."
Dirty their white dresses.
So, Michal,
The soiled
which
rat.
situation, which decision do you hate more, the portrayal of Sir Arlen or the bonfires at night?
It's tough. It's tough. I really, when what's his face, when Plummer was like, you know, Lord Ashford is spending too much money. I'm like, see, bonfires. No need for bonfires. You're wasting your money. Guess that was a bad decision, huh? No, I could live with that. If Sir Arlen, I thought, was treated better. And again, I just want to repeat that I do not think Sir Arlen was a perfect person. I do think that he definitely hit Dunk. He definitely was a complicated guy. They had a complicated relationship. Obviously, he's been through his own traumas with losing his nephew and whatever. But like, to me, it's just so not this guy that like I find it still just very difficult to.
I mean, I think Sir Arlen to me was always kind of like the everyman, not necessarily like somewhere between like, the Hound and like, Jory Cassell maybe, right? So I mean, I get it if they're not portraying him as this like flowery knight that just like, because I think that's the point, is that like these guys that go around talking about all the stories and like the fake shit, aren't always necessarily living up to it. But like, again, we're getting it from Dunk that like he lived a certain way and he taught him a certain way. But it'd be nice, since you're giving us flashbacks, if you just showed us, Sir Arlen being like, "Hey, by the way, it's very important. A knight acts like this. We do these things. like he can
the stuff
be
that Dunk remembers him
whoring
saying
and
in
all
the
that.
book.
Right. Like he can be whoring and he can be kind of just like a normal dude, but also be like, well, at the end of the day, like, if I see someone in need, I take care of them. Right.
Well, and I think too, part of the issue is in the Sworn Sword, Bennis the Brown is supposed to be like the antithesis or the
Mhm.
foil to Sir
Oh God, they're
Arlen.
gonna have a field day with that guy.
Oh, 100%. But like
He's
this
gonna be
is
spitting.
this is what I think that even if they do turn it around in like future flashbacks, which is a weird thing to say, it's I don't know, it's you played too loose with it that like even if he does become the super knight that taught Dunk how to be the super knight, it's still I'm still already like, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it throws up an interesting, for our perspective as book readers and show watchers, it throws up an interesting dichotomy between the two, right? Like it makes you question the character, and I kind of like that. I kind of like it's a bit nature nurture, right? Like Dunk is the hero. He's one of the purest characters in the whole ever that George has written in Westeros, and is that I guess a lot of us are maybe thinking, oh, Arlen, fostered a lot of that and grew a lot of that, but maybe that's just who Dunk is. Like, he's a great person who's come from pretty shitty circumstances, like the bottom of Aegon's High Hill where the shit flows, like the pot shops and he's from the bottom and he rises to the top, and that's what makes it such a magical story.
No, would you say that he started from the bottom and now he's here?
I mean, this season started with his bottom.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. I will say that I do love that, like, as much as we've talked about this, like the scene with like Sir Arlen showing up and like shrugging or whatever's going on. We've had like 5 different takes on that. So in a way that's effective at something. Um it's like maybe a little more open to interpretation than I was thinking. All right. I think that's about where we're gonna leave it. Um, Looking forward to next week, and hopefully everything wraps up in a satisfying way, at least with the trial, which I assume is going to end next week. But I don't know. We'll see. So until then, stop by the Discord, tell us what you think, and thank you for listening.
So much, Adam.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks,
Bye.
Adam.
Have a good week, guys. Immediately goes to Danny, like being like, well, there are 3 dragons in the world, so are you gonna give me like a third of all the ships in the world for one of my I'm like, there's 1 Greenland in the world, what are we gonna give?
You see, I just think of the Princess Bride and poor Andre the Giant being unemployed in Greenland. Which, why would he be unemployed? He is the brute squad. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to get into this right now because we've been doing this for 2 hours, but I just want to say that I am nervous about the Sworn Sword already, because it's a great story, but it does not have the narrative drive, and it does not have the links to the characters that we're familiar with. And as far as like, if people are suffering from like, why am I watching this, in the first couple episodes of this show, then I feel like that's just like amplified by several in the Sworn Sword.
Yeah, it's a much slower start too, isn't it?
Yeah, and like the
I was just gonna say, I think because they'll already have, this first season established, you're already at least invested in the titular characters. Well, I guess not. It's not called Duncan Egg, whatever. But I think if they kind of just lean into the influence and film it like a spaghetti western, it would work.
yeah, no, it could. I'm not saying oh it's going to be bad. I'm just saying like so much of the energy, like we can say that it's not because there are like Targaryens and whatever in the story, but it is, like so much narrative drive and heft comes from that. And like that, the next story is completely devoid of that. And like there's great stuff with Rohane and but like I really struggled my first time through that story, just like being like, I like finding the purpose. And they could totally like find ways to change it. Like maybe we'll have flashbacks to the Battle of the Redgrass Fields or whatever,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, benefit of the doubt,
yeah.
they have more Blackfire material to work with.
Yeah, definitely. This is not me going like, oh no, they're gonna fuck it up. It's just like thinking about the Sworn Sword. I'm just like, it's missing some of the stuff that makes this so easily lovable.
I think there's a lot they can.
Room for error.
I feel like maybe I said this after Hot D season 1, but I feel confident in this showrunner to guide this and land the plane. They could do some stuff with Dawn at the start of the season, which would be really cool to get a bit more Dawn. The flashbacks you mentioned, absolutely. I've actually quite enjoyed the flashbacks. I know that's probably an unpopular opinion. I think they've been really good, and it's something that was sorely lacking from Game of Thrones, and could have brought something to that. Maybe they're still perfecting it or whatever, but I think overall it's been a success. So I think there's a lot they can do.
Yeah, no, it could be very cool. And look, I'd love to see, Birdie and Sam back again. And who knows, maybe they frame it as sort of like a, every time you're done with an adventure, you have to come back to Summerhall and I have to make sure that Egg's alive, from Maekar. And there's a lot of stuff they could do. I was just saying.
The potential to fuck it up versus the Hedge Knight, which is just a clear slam dunk, is yeah. You can definitely feel that trepidation. I agree with you.
We get.
I mean, like if they do like I don't know how this like plays with their budget, but I would love like kind of a Rashomon style like view of the Redgrass Fields where like you see, Baelor and Maekar like doing all their great whatever maneuvers and everything. And then like from Eustace's perspective, it's just shitty Bloodraven and his like, archers that are just like taking everything out, and that ruined the whole thing. And I don't know. It could be cool. I guess it depends how much they want to like.
Michal, why did you say that?
I know. Sorry. I'm a good writer. I don't know what to tell you. But I think like the more they lean into the lore, I think the more grist there is.
Yeah, and the scenes we get of the Blackfire Rebellion from like the graphic novels are really fun. I don't know if they can top that, I'll be honest, but just like budget wise. But it would be cool to see some of that.